All right, Couch Radio episode number 2. This one was with TC Superstar, very fun group. JT, tell us about TC.
This is a local band that from Austin, and we had the pleasure of sitting down with Connor McCampbell from TC Superstar. He's like the front man, and he had a lot of interesting things to say. Really enjoyed having this interview. They play around town a lot, and they've been on tour a lot since we did this in May. They've already been on tour from like the East Coast all the way to the West Coast. Came back to Austin, opened for Mac DeMarco when he was here. They have an album that came out called R&D, and then they recently released a reissue, like a deluxe version with some bonus content on it. And yeah, check them out. That's like an electronic synth-based band, and they're really DIY. We just went to their house to do this in the garage, and we saw like how like parts of their music video and like photo shoots, like mannequins and kind of some crazy stuff.
Yeah, it was cool. It was really nice. I don't know. I'm a fan of garages, a connoisseur, you would say. It was nice to get in theirs. But finding it was interesting because, so this is like TC Superstar, like Josh knows a lot more. I mean, I know now, but especially then, knew a lot more about this band than I did. And so he gets the address, and we show up, and it's just some, a house in a residential area. And we're like, is this it? I don't know. So we go up to the door, and we knock on it, and someone answers the door, and it turns out, I didn't know this at the time, it turns out she's in the band, but I said, probably shouldn't have taken the lead, but I did. I was like, hey, does Carl live here or something? Said some random C name, and she was like, no. And I was like, from, I think I said Toyota Superstar. I think that's what, and she was just like, huh? And we kind of it was awkward for a while. And she's like, you mean Connor from TC Superstar? Yeah. And yeah, so she probably didn't trust us right out of the gate, but that's where I like to be. I like to be an underdog.
Yeah.
So
A little mysterious.
yeah, and then we went into and we set everything up in their garage, and we did the interview as Connor got back home from work, and it was fun. It was a good time.
Yeah, it was.
He's a nice
cool
guy.
thing, he was super nice,
Yeah,
which
he was
was
cool.
nice, because you never know. Sometimes I meet people and I think like, oh, they have kind eyes,
Yeah.
and then I get closer.
Turns out they're turkeys,
They're big old turkeys.
Yep.
Um,
You're like, psh, and that's that.
Get out of here, turkey.
Yeah. Turkey.
One
Not
thing-
Connor though.
No, Connor. Connor was no turkey. But yeah, we had a great time, and hope that comes out in the interview. You should check them out on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube. We added their song "One and Only" to our Couch Radio podcast playlist on Spotify, and Connor mentions a few songs at the end that kind of inspired him and mean something to him. So we added those to the podcast playlist as well.
It's a good listen. Definitely worth the listen. Where's a good place? Where is a good place to listen to our Couch Radio podcast?
Monkey Nest. Monkey
Yeah.
Nest coffee. I was just there last week, and it was delicioso. I was there with Shelby. We applied for South by Southwest, which was grueling, really. I mean,
Yeah, it was.
we just wanted to come off cool enough to maybe be considered.
Yeah, and there's a lot of things you have to do for. There's feats of strength tests that they have
Mhm.
you do. There's a
Urine sample.
take your shirt off, stand in front of the camera of your computer test,
Mhm.
which I don't understand why
Send
that.
it to a private email.
Yeah, it's like, wait, are we on the right site? Anyways, at Monkey Nest you can access all different types of sites
Right.
because they have Wi-Fi.
The Wi-Fi is fast and furious, and the best place to do some nerd work. If you're gonna get some coffee or some delicious treats, say Couch Radio when you check out and get that 10% off.
You're going to want to do that. Another place you can mention Couch Radio for 10% off is Waterloo Records. Super fun place to hang out. if you're on it's a beautiful Sunday like today, but you just don't want to be outside. It's like too nice for you. You want to go somewhere inside. Waterloo, baby. They got it all. You know, they have records,
Go back and
tapes, record players,
CDs, compact discs.
DVDs, digital video devices,
Nice. VHS.
vehicle
Video.
homicide system. They have all of that. Novelty socks, you know? They got it all.
Stickers.
Sure. Yeah, and if you go and say you want some stickers or socks or records and you mention Couch Radio, that's another 10% off.
At this point, you could save 20% on your day if you go to Monkey Nest and Waterloo Records.
Yeah, you're basically losing money if you don't use these Couch Radio, you know,
Discounts.
promos. Discounts.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, that's it. Enjoy this, and thanks to everybody who listened to the first one. It's fun to put them out, and we appreciate hearing if anybody enjoyed it. So here you go, Couch Radio, episode 2. Also, it's on, so whenever you want to start it,
Okay.
we're
Cool.
We're live, baby.
Yeah,
Rocking and
we're live. We're
rolling.
in the base. We're not in the basement. We're in the garage
Yeah.
of Connor, who we referred to earlier as Cameron. When we got
Cameron.
to the door, we're like, "Does
No
Cameron
worries.
live here?" No, he doesn't. But Josh gave me bad information.
I gave him bad info. And I don't know why I even thought that for a second. Because earlier today, I was like, Connor and McCampbell. I was like, that's like kind of like Connor and McGregor. It's like, I can remember that. No.
Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I think I listen to your music more than any other Austin band. And not that, I mean, I listen to other Austin bands, but there's something about your stuff that, I don't know, it hooks me. Like I get to that point where I'm just like, oh, I want to listen to it again. It's got that thing where it keeps me wanting to hear it more.
That's usually like a metric for when I'm writing songs. If I like write a song and I don't immediately want to just like play it again or listen to it again, I'm like, no one else is gonna want to. You know,
Yeah.
like if I'm not excited about it enough to keep working on it in the way, I throw away a lot of songs. Like I think our new album comes out in like a week or something now, something like that. There's 11 tracks on the initial album, and we have a deluxe album that'll have a couple more. But I think I wrote like 60 songs or something for that album, and they just killed most of them.
Wow.
Anything that didn't feel really, really good, you know, it's like, eh.
Do you like fully realize those songs, or is it like
Some of them.
yeah?
Some of them end as ideas. Some of them are like, this. You hit it. Sometimes you hit a dead end after making like a 10-second loop, right? Like
Yeah.
Those don't go any further. Some like you have a full arrangement with no lyrics, and you're just like, the lyrics aren't coming. It's not going to be done.
Right.
Other ones you have lyrics, and like the music just isn't. It's not pushing the emotion through the lyrics the way it should, and so those songs also have to die.
All right.
And then some you think are great, and everybody else is like, dude, these songs are terrible.
Oh yeah. Do you have like a specific group of people that are like, oh, you guys are I'm gonna just send it off. See.
The band.
Yeah.
The band is like, the main test group. We got a lot of diverse opinions and
Oh yeah.
types of people in the band. That's what happens when you have 8 people, you know?
Wow. How do you focus group that? How do you test that?
Well, I live with half of them, and then the other half are like around enough. Aaron has like walked into me like almost every time that I've started writing a song. He has voice memos on his phone of a lot of the first time I was like, hey dude, check out this riff, and I just play something for him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, yeah, sure. So I get a lot of. I used to be very protective of my songs. I think that's an impulse when people are younger, especially, or at least for me. Maybe this is not a general thing. I definitely had an impulse when I was like Like I remember writing poetry in middle school and being like, no one should ever see this. This is secret, you know.
Oh yeah.
And someone like found some of my poetry in class one time that I like left out, and they were like, "Oh, this is really cool. Who wrote this?" And I was like, "I don't know." I was like, "Nope, I don't know. I don't know what that is."
Some tool probably.
Yeah. And I was very like protective of things because I knew that people would think they were bad if they're half done. And I was like, if people tell me this is bad and all I have is some chords and lyrics or whatever, like they're not gonna like it when it's fully done. But then I don't actually know what the shift was. I just got comfortable with being like, I can write this song and I can show people a super rough demo where my voice is cracking all over the place. And like I recorded the guitar in one take at 4 a.m. and like the drums are not what the drums are gonna sound like. And I can show people to and be like, "What do you think about this idea?" And they're usually like, "Oh yeah, this doesn't sound as good as your other stuff, but like it's kind of a fine idea or whatever." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's gonna be a lot better. Don't worry."
Right. Yeah.
And I'm much more okay now with being like people will have different reactions along the way,
Yeah.
and it's and you can still learn valuable things from that. I think.
Yeah. I think it's tough when you're like to figure out the line of like if you believed in a song and you thought it was great, like at what point do you just kind of like, I guess more so believe in like your own opinion versus like, the outside opinion of like 4 or 5 other people? Like, cause we've talked about it before with, you write a song and then you like show someone and then they're like, "Oh, I don't like this." And then you think about it and you're like, "Oh, they don't like the same music I like anyways." So like, that kind of thing sometimes.
Yeah.
It's easy to let just anybody's opinion get in your head, but it's just hard to draw the line of like, I really like it, maybe I should keep it anyways.
It's hard. I think it's important to, when you're making things, be able to let go of ego and be like, why do I like it? Do I like it just because I made it? That's not a good reason to keep this around. I make tons of stuff, and a lot of it's bad. Like I cooked a bad breakfast for myself this morning. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna stand up for that in a court of law if someone's like, "Hey, this breakfast was terrible."
Yeah.
I was like,
it was mine though.
It was like, "But I made it." It's like, yeah, that's totally not valid.
Dude, that's so true, man.
So it's you have to be able to kill your darlings with creative stuff. Like always, be comfortable and some of them don't die. Sometimes like I'll be like, you know what, that whole song maybe not the right thing, but that one lick I did, like that was pretty sweet. That's why I like this song. Is that worth keeping the whole song? Maybe not. Maybe it'll pop back up later. I really believe in like the psychology of music, and I think if like I've been playing music for 20 years or something at this point. Like if you've been playing music that long and you can't remember an idea you had that you thought was a really good idea, it's probably not a really good idea.
Right.
Because if it's impactful enough or catchy enough or like it has the right emotional core to it, you'll remember that. That'll stick with you. It'll haunt you. It gets stuck in your head. You can't get that riff out of your head. You can't get that line out of your head, whatever it is,
Yeah.
So I also kind of I like to, like the new album's out in a week and I've got maybe 7 or 8 songs that I feel pretty solid about for the next album after that already. I like to write way in advance and give yourself lots of time to potentially forget bad songs. Because if you're writing like 10 songs at once and you realize you just haven't been playing or working on that one song, probably it's okay to just let it go. Stick with the other 9 songs you cannot stop thinking about. That like you think about them in the shower and you're like, oh yeah, that just really makes me feel something. That one song that you're like, oh, well, that's fun to play, but it doesn't make me feel anything. Yeah, you can probably let that one go.
Yeah, that's super interesting because I think a lot of people who are creative can relate to starting something and putting in effort and then just holding on too tight, even though it's just like, this one's off the rails. Like there's not really hope for it, but it's like, I put so much time in but you have to, like what you're saying, just cut it loose, man. Work on something else.
I was
cool.
Yeah, I was a business major for a while in college, and I didn't graduate with a business degree. I had one class left,
Oh. There you go.
I did not want to take finance.
Cut it loose.
But what I did learn from the business school, my takeaway was in accounting you learn about sunk costs, and a sunk cost is an investment that you've already made, but you can't recoup it, right? So
Okay.
like the easy example they give in business school is like, say you run a stapling company, right? And it's your job, like your company is trying to outcompete other companies and staple papers more. People give you their papers and you staple them, right?
Yeah.
And you buy a
competitive.
machine for $10,000 and it staples a page an hour. Like, great, really advanced technology when you buy it. It's the best thing on the market. For $10,000 a page an hour with no people running it, amazing. The next day another machine comes out and it only costs $1 and it staples 100 pages a minute. Your business is dumb if it says, well, we already spent $10,000. We should really stick with this thing that we have, right? It's like, well, that's a sunk cost. Going forward, which route is better to use, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes with songs, like you might have spent 10 years workshopping a song. That's a sunk cost. You can't think about everything you put into it. You have to think about, is this song still worth going forward on? Versus maybe you have some other idea that's, like calls out to you more, makes you want to work on it more.
Right. More hopeful. That's
That's
cool, man.
that's also very much just my perspective though. Like Aaron is the opposite of that. There's a Malcolm Gladwell podcast I think where he talks about like the Cezannes versus the Picassos of the world. I'm very much a Picasso where I'm like make stuff and trash the bad and you'll get some good stuff out of it. And Aaron's a Cezanne where he's like perfect this one thing over and over, perfect this painting, rework this painting and this idea until we get it right. And I think those are both like super valid approaches to art and making art in general. But
Right.
I think we've both like learned a lot from each other over the years from being like, wow, that person operates differently.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's probably okay to have the yin and yang.
That's
Yeah.
probably good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's nice. I think in every project and every album that I do, I try and like reimagine my workflow. I try and, because I don't want to make the same album over and over,
Yeah.
Like what could I change on this to make it different from the way I've done things in the past, to force myself to like operate a little differently.
What are some things on this album that you did do that on, that you changed it from the last album, the Heat Death album?
So Heat Death was a little collaborative. I think Mitch played some French horn and sang, and Caleb played some sax, and there maybe a couple other people did some like small parts here and there.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, it was still like 99% produced and recorded and whatnot by myself.
Mm-hmm.
This last album was still mostly produced, like almost entirely produced by myself, but I had a lot more collaborators on. I had different people do vocals. Had Caleb do sax. My friend Daniel did clarinet. Mitch did a bunch of horns. Aaron O'Brien did strings, and my friend Sonia did some flute. So like, had a lot of different people coming in for small parts. And then Aaron and I came up with the idea of doing like the whole interview thing. So everybody that collaborated on the album, we interviewed them about their romantic past and their relationship history, and chopped up all those sound bites. And those, some of them inspired new songs that weren't written yet for the album, and some of them just like added new meaning and changed or complemented what was already in existing songs. So that was like, I'd never tried that before, and I think it made like a very specific album because of it.
Yeah. So was that like, did you go into it thinking like, okay, this album's gonna be about like, yeah, like relationships, past relationships and stuff, and that's why you decided to interview them like that then? And then it just like kind of like emboldened the idea. Like, is it kind of like concept album ish?
Oh, it's 1,000% a concept album.
Okay.
Like everything we do is conceptual to the point where like we're probably thinking about it way too much. I'd already written a large selection of the songs for the album, and I knew from the get-go I wanted to. I had kind of had like a change in perspective in my life about a lot of the albums are just like what's Connor thinking about these days. I'd had a big change in perspective in how I wanted to uh, like romantically interact with people, and how like I thought that could function in my life, like the role of romance and romantic relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was there from the foundation, from the genesis of the album. And then after talking about it more, Aaron and I would just hang out late at night and both work on projects together, and kind of share stuff and talk back and forth. And we wanted to I think the album was already called R&D at the time, for Ricky and Dana, the two characters, and research and development. And then, but we really like started focusing on the research and development side of things. And we were like, oh, we need to gather data. We need to do interviews with all these people. Like we need we need some source data to do our research with, so that we can then like personally develop and grow from whatever our learnings are, over the course of making this album. So that was really where that idea came about. But it definitely, the concept was there with the songs beforehand, and that was, we hit that and it was just like, yeah, eureka. Okay, everything makes sense. Now let's just make the album.
That's cool though, because you're kind of like gathering more tools to make the thing as you're making it.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, man. I'd never heard of anybody doing anything like that pretty sick.
It was a lot of fun. It was also like I have a personality type where I just love playing therapist with people. Like I'm happy to not to just like ask people questions about themselves until that they like come to some grand conclusion. Like a lot of people have done that for me in the past, and I think it's super helpful. As like just a way to support your friends and your loved ones. And what was interesting is I had the same list of questions I asked everybody that I interviewed, but some people I had been close friends with for 4 or 5 years, and I knew their romantic past. Like I knew everybody that they had seen or dated or had a one night stand with, or like maybe thought about, but it didn't work out because of this or that, and like wanted to do long distance, but then realized they were getting codependent, whatever. Like I knew a lot about them. And then there's some people I interviewed where I was like, yeah, I don't actually, like we were good friends, but not to the point where I knew their whole romantic history. So it was interesting to like explore that for the first time with some people, and with other people be like, I know exactly where to probe to like get you to think about this specific thing. Like,
right. I know your line.
I know. Yeah. I was like, come on, this is what I'm trying to get out of you. Like, give me some good sound bites that I can use on this album.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like that, like an album's already like such an intensive process, and then you're adding these extra things that are obviously like very beneficial for the thing overall. But how long did it take you to do all of it? Like I'm just curious, like your workflow already probably has its own pace, and then that might have added to it.
It's kind of hard to say because I'm constantly writing. Like I'm always writing the next project, the next project, 10 albums down the road. I'm like, what's the next thing?
Yeah.
But I try and always have one project that's in production, and one project that's in conception, because I think it helps you. I did a lot of creative writing when I was at UT, and a lot of the theory in workshops is like you kind of word vomit out. You try and get your ideas out in their purest form quickly. And then later on, you set that aside and be like, we're not creating anymore. Now we're going to go into editing mode. We go back and we look at this critically and say, how are people going to read this? What are people going to get out of this? How can this be better done to accomplish its goals? So I try and have one project that's in writing mode and one that's in editing mode. Some of the songs on that album I probably wrote maybe a year or two ago even.
Okay.
But I think the album properly went into recording and production last fall maybe.
Okay.
And that process, because we have the studio here, it's just I can just retrack stuff over and over again. Some of the songs, like there's a song on the album, "Thinking About You," or I've been thinking about you. I've been thinking about you. Uh, the titles are hard to remember because I have a terrible naming system and they change names like 10 times before they get finalized.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Do you have like working titles that'll be like way different than? Yeah.
People will be like, Tax Exemption Roland, what song is that? And I'm like, that's called One and Only.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
And they're like, and how is that related? I'm like, because there was a form on my desktop and it was the first thing I wrote. I think one of the songs was called Please Save for like months and months and months until I was like,
yeah, this one's good or something like that.
Yeah. What was I saying before that?
Oh, we were just talking about the timeline about it.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So yeah, I think a lot of the production of me just sitting and recording the parts over and over. Oh yeah, that song "Thinking About You" started as like a strummy guitar song with like a real bass on it and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I was not feeling it, and I was like, I gotta start this. Like the lyrics I like, and I like the story, but I gotta give up the original way I wrote it. I don't know.
Mm.
Some of the songs start almost as like folk songs, and then I'm like, okay, how do we make this dancey?
Do you write on the acoustic?
Almost never.
Yeah. I just wonder because you said it started off kind of like folky a little bit.
A
lot of your stuff's very synth.
The final product ends up being very synthy.
Yeah.
I write on guitar, I write on piano. Piano is the only instrument I've had. I guess had some training in trombone, but piano is the only real instrument that I've had proper training in, and it's probably what I'm most comfortable with. But I've been playing guitar for a long time, and I like writing guitar. Sometimes if I'm trying to write a song on one or the other and it's not working, I'll switch instruments because it forces me to arrange differently.
Yeah.
That's good.
Piano, it's like really great for playing chords and melody and bass, and guitar is not that.
Right.
Like for me at least, there's some players that are really talented in that way, but it's like guitar, I usually like to pick the most minimal thing. Like if I can get away with playing 2 notes at a time and only playing thirds or something, I'd much rather do that than play full chords on guitar. I don't really like full chords on guitar that much.
Okay.
But
do you, since you're like piano based, I wish I could play the piano. Like I don't know why.
You can. It just takes
you're
time.
right, yeah.
There's my favorite proverb. I work at a guitar center, so I talk to people about first time instruments all day long.
Oh yeah.
But one of my favorite proverbs is the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time to plant a tree is today. So you might as well just start,
I like that.
Nothing is going to get better in your future that's going to make your life like better for learning to play piano.
Yeah, he's got a piano in his room too.
Yeah, you're all set up.
I do, yeah. Yeah, when we like record, a lot of it's just used like, okay, where's C again? Like I forget, and it's just like, okay, we'll use this for like accent of whatever. But like the thing about it is like, that I was going to ask was, when you're writing, are you writing a lot of the vocal melodies like with your right hand initially, or are you writing those just vocally as you like chord out? Or because sometimes I wonder about that with songs. I'm like, okay, the lead is the same as the vocal melody, and I'm just like, which one of these came first? It's got probably the lead, right? I don't know.
It's both. So there's like the two popular methods of songwriting are track and hook, like with top lining, and then melody and lyrics. Melody and lyrics is like old, like Rodgers and Hammerstein, like musicals, and like you write the lyrics out first, and you sing it in a certain way, and then chords and instrumentation, everything else follows.
Right.
And the other extreme is like top 40s pop, right? Like Swedish producer makes a beat, and then they send it to someone, and they sing a vocal line, and then they send it to a pop diva that like sings the right words over that vocal line and takes credit for the song and makes lots of money.
Right.
Like
yeah.
those are like the two extremes, and I like writing in both styles. Like Toyota Corolla was like a melody and lyric song. It was like I wrote that just like on maybe a 2-minute walk home from my piano teacher's house.
Yeah, it feels like that type of song.
Yeah, it just all came together at one moment, and I sat down at the piano, and just like it all came out. Other songs, something musical inspires you, and you might find a melody in there, and you have to find the right words for it. That for me, I think, is a lot harder. It's a lot harder to place lyrics to something that exists because it has to be perfect. If it doesn't feel right, like if you say a consonant or a vowel that just doesn't doesn't hold the right emotion for that moment, even if the word's what you're trying to say, it's like it's not the right, you haven't written the song yet. You're still working on it.
Right.
I remember I was reading that How Music Works by David Byrne. And
Oh yeah, it's a great book.
yeah, you read it. Okay. He was just like, he said he'd scat and he'd really pay attention to where like he would naturally fill in consonants and things like that, because just writing lyrics and just trying to throw them at a song, it doesn't work a lot. Barely ever, probably.
Absolutely does not. It sounds cheesy and bad because it's contrived. It's not felt. I'm trying to be as emotional of a songwriter as I can, and I think I got that from my background in creative writing. Like when you're writing a story, it's really hard to just put words on a page and have someone read them and then be like, whoa. I feel changed. I feel different. That emotionally affected me. That really was impactful. Like you have to put 1,000,000 pounds of pressure with your pen on the back of a page for someone to feel like the tickle of a feather on the front of the page when they're reading it. So I really try and like think a lot about like how do I get the emotional weight into the songs. If I don't feel anything when I'm making it, like no one's gonna feel anything when they hear it, or see it live or whatever it is.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, thinking about it like that. Like I never really thought about that like that you got to put. And two, probably as the process goes on, you might be really emotional about a subject and you might be in the moment then, and then, like 2 weeks later, you're not thinking about that same thing, but you still have to have some sort of emotional resonance that's still left over. So yeah, I never really thought about it just being as heavy-handed as possible initially.
Yeah, and if you did it well, hopefully, like when you go back to it, you're like, oh, I forgot I like this so much. You're like, this feels really good. These notes, like this tone, whatever it is, like I remember why I did this. Or you're like, okay, this is a bit much. You're like, this song is like, come on, like this is ridiculous. You thought this was gonna be like impactful. This is terrible. And it's good to give yourself some time. Like I would never recommend that anybody like writes a song, records it, and puts it online the same day. Just at least give yourself a week or two to take some space and forget about it and come back, because like especially with you, like you might be in a bad mood and write something angsty and you'll listen back and you're just like, all right, that's just an immature song, like that doesn't need to, nobody else needs to hear that can go in this file over here that looks like a trash can.
Like, Mom, you probably heard that thing I put online. That's not how I really feel. I was in a mood. Yeah
for sure.
We talked about the R&D side of it and the concepts and overthinking things. What is some of the, I don't know if you even want to talk about it, if you just want to leave it to people, but is there some symbolism with the music videos you've been releasing?
There's
I see the mannequin over there. Is that the mannequin?
No, that's just a different mannequin we have. We sold those mannequins to KVRX, I think. I think they have our mannequins now. Oh my God, I'm so glad to have those out of the house. That was you walk in the garage and turn the light on and see just 10 faces, and it was scary. It was not. Everybody in the house was like, "Dude, we got to get rid of these."
It's like goosebumps.
They also just take up space. It's like having 8 people at your house all the time standing still. Like they take up a lot of space. They're not like they don't pack away very well. They're
start naming them all.
Yeah,
like Kevin's standing by the fridge like a freak all day.
Dude, I don't know. I think our neighbors thought we were pretty weird or something. Cause
yeah.
There was a while where I had like all the mannequins just loosely packed in the back of my car, and like you'd look over and just see like a hand pressed on a window, like help me. Yeah, there's a lot of the symbols and like the truck and that kind of stuff, and the hotel keys and anything that you see in the music video probably relates to a song on the album somewhere, if not the song of that music video. And there's definitely like some greater romantic symbolism, like the pillows and the beds in the Into You video is supposed to be very like cozy and comfortable and intimate. It's supposed to feel like kind of vulnerable. It's not like a big stage with strobe lights kind of vibe. It's much more like soft. And then the other one is the Pink Room. We shot that at Helios. They're very nice. They gave us a room and let us paint the walls pink and put tile floor in and put all our own furniture there for like a month. So it was very, very sweet of them.
This is what Helios, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Is that just a?
It's a co-op on I don't remember the street, by MLK and Quad, kind of in that area.
Oh, okay, right on.
But yeah,
Go ahead, paint it, whatever.
but yeah, and that was supposed to feel more like clinically uncomfortably domestic.
Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I get that. Plus, like the stillness of the one person when you're dancing. Sweet moves, by the way.
Thanks.
How much did you prepare choreography wise
for that
before
video?
that video?
The whole thing's choreographed. I had to have every beat down because you have to do match cuts, right? You have to do match acts on everything. So you have to. There were some shots I couldn't use because I did a turn and landed in like two slightly different positions, and the match action just it wasn't convincing enough for me. I used to do a lot of video editing, so if I ever like, I get real picky about that. Like if it doesn't. If I would be like, oh, they were one frame short there, then it's like, no, we can't use that. That's absolutely not.
So do you make all the music videos yourself, or?
I play a part in making the videos. They're a largely collaborative effort.
Okay.
Hannah Barker DP'd the last two that we did. Shannon Wiedemeyer's helped out with PD and set design and AD and whatever else she needs to. We've had a lot of people that have helped out crew-wise. I produced the One and Only video, and LB produced the Into video. Aaron directed that one. I directed One and Only. So yeah, we Aaron's done a lot of film stuff. Like I don't know, we've been working together on film and creative projects for a long time. So it's
That's cool, man.
yeah. He edited. I think he edited. Yeah, he did Into, and I edited One and Only.
Where did you and Aaron meet?
We met at Labyrinth. It's a like progressive student worship service on Guad. I was playing bass there at the time, and I've told this story so many times before. I saw him, and he doesn't believe it still. I saw him in the third row, and I looked at him, and I looked at the way he was watching us play, and I'm like, that person plays music. And afterwards, I went and talked to him, and I was like, so, yeah, what do you do, this and that? And he was like, oh, I'm a piano player.
Mm-hmm.
He was studying music business at UT, but they still make you. At that point, it was the program's a bit of a conservatory. They still made you take like classical piano classes for performance, even though he just wanted to do music business. And I was like, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. But he's an amazing player, and I was like, have you ever played a synth? And he was like, this and that. I like Mellotron. I like this. I like that. And I was like, come check this out. You're going to like this. And I showed him a King Korg that I had. Like, my band used, I played bass at their service in exchange for using that chapel as a practice space because I lived in a dorm on campus for my band at the time. So I had my synth and everything, like the drum set and everything, which was set up behind like where the band for the service would play.
Oh, cool.
So he started like running through some like classical licks on his keyboard, and he's like, yeah, that's pretty cool. And I was like, all right, he's very good. You should come hang out in my band sometime and we can play music together. And then we've just been friends ever since.
Oh, sweet. He's kind of like Lawrence from School of Rock, classically trained, and then you just molded him.
Let's rock today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am not cool enough.
Yeah, you are cool enough.
Aaron and I were interesting because we both had like similar trajectories in music before college. Like we both were trained in piano. We both are incredibly intuitive around each other. Like whenever we're playing music together, like most of the time we can guess where the other one's going chord change wise and like where the melody needs to go and that kind of stuff.
Oh, cool.
We write in person live like very well. We did a horror film one time and we live tracked the soundtrack. We just did 6 overdubs and we just hit play over and over again and it was like, yep, there it is.
Oh, sweet.
So I think we have a similar background and we think very similarly about a lot of musical stuff. We both had like sometimes late at night we just show each other like old music that we have and we're like, dude, this is terrible, you gotta listen to this.
Yeah.
Like, I thought this song was so good. We were both very into the Beatles for a while. He had like a heavy U2 phase and heavy Bruce Springsteen phase. I did not have those phases. And the way that he did, he was like, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've been playing together a long time.
What were some of your phases?
My phases? So I listened to Radio Disney until about 5 or 6 years old. That was phase number 1. And then I don't remember what happened. I got very disenfranchised with Radio Disney. Like pretty early on.
Overnight.
Yeah, that probably happens to you know.
I think
Soon
my
as the
friend and I
jailbreaks.
were supposed to do karaoke at a school event to Who Let the Dogs Out by the Baha Men. And
Quality
we
song.
were like 2 spots in line too far back to get to do it, and I was just like, I never want to hear this song again. I never want to. We were both like crying because we couldn't do karaoke to this song, and we wanted to. I don't know, man. We were like 5 years old.
You would have brought the house down though with Who Let the Dogs Out. It's the Baha Men, so you know.
Probably, yeah. 2 5-year-olds screaming "Who Let the Dogs Out." What's cuter than that?
That's true.
None.
Good point.
But I was like, no, I'm done with this. My parents have diverse music tastes. My dad listens to a lot of Latin music. He likes Brazilian music a lot, and samba and bossa nova and that kind of stuff. He likes jazz and R&B a lot. And then my mom is like blues, classic rock, folk, singer-songwriter kind of stuff. They
Okay.
both like kind of like Texas, like two-stepping kind of music.
Mm.
So I grew up with very like different musical influences on either
Right.
side from them. And I just thought I really like was not into contemporary music for a long time. Like early 2000s, honestly all 2000s pop, I was not about it. Still, like, if there's like a 2000s dance night, everybody's like, it'll be so nostalgic and fun, and I'm like, I don't know any of these songs. I was listening to classic rock for a long time.
Oh wow, that's interesting.
I mostly listened to classic rock through elementary school. Had like shoulder length hair and a leather jacket and was very into that.
Yeah.
And
That's rad.
and then middle school through high school, I got more into indie stuff that I found that I thought was like doing more interesting things.
Okay.
And then in high school, at a certain point, I started reappreciating pop music and being like, okay, I can get into this or that.
Mm. Okay.
Probably in college, I got into more 80s stuff, and I got into more old school dance music like Chic and like earlier David Bowie stuff, like that kind of like real choppy guitar style dance music.
Mm-hmm.
I always liked that stuff, but I started making like more of an effort to listen to that because that's what people told me I was making.
Okay. Yeah.
They're like, this is what this sounds like, and I was like, I should probably do my research so I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if I'm ripping someone off, I should probably know about it.
Yeah. Do you get that kind of stuff a lot when you're like playing live? Like somebody says like, "Oh, you're like this," and you're like, "I don't feel that I'm like that at all." But okay. Like.
The 2 big ones are Depeche Mode and New Order. I like both of those bands. I've
Not
listened to
bad.
them more now.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd ever listened to a full album of either one of those bands before starting TC.
Mm.
It was honestly not a big influence of mine. I
Right.
just like drum machines and I like polyrhythms and
Yeah.
I really like synths and I've always liked programming synths and that kind of stuff. It's really fun.
Yeah.
And I like chorus guitar. And then all of
Yeah.
that together, it's like, yo, you're 80s.
Yeah, and
That's
like
right.
the low vocal,
That's
like the
nice.
lyric driven stuff. Yeah, I get
yeah.
that. I get it, but I definitely see the difference. It makes sense that you weren't like totally like just a big pop head because it's not strictly pop like what you're doing. It's hooky, it's synthy, but it's not just like pop.
Yeah, I want to like I try and make stuff that is accessible enough that most people could enjoy it. Like I don't want to make super self-indulgent music. I'm not trying to do like a 30-minute guitar solo that I think someone needs to listen to. They don't. They totally don't.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not. I don't know. It seems like I try and get my ego out of it as much as possible
Yeah.
and write stuff that is accessible, but also like on the first listen, hopefully you don't hate it. It's like pleasing enough to the ear that you're like, okay, that's fine. But if you listen 10 or 12 times, like hopefully there's enough deeper meaning there that you can get something else out of it. You know, I try and write songs that like would change for you the more you listen to them, and try and embed some like Easter eggs and deeper things in there for me.
Mm-hmm.
So even like now when I listen to stuff that I made 2 years ago, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot. Like I did that one chord change different that time for this reason, because I thought it like worked with this word better or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
So
I'm not just saying this. I get that. Like when I'm listening to your music, I like it the more I listen to it. There's
thanks.
something there to that. So
Always,
it's really cool.
Always feels good to be like, all right.
Yeah. Like I was
someone
like, do I
appreciates
say this? It seems kind of like not genuine because I'm on a podcast, Mike. But like, I just want you to know that, you know, it's cool as a musician to sit down with like this goal in mind and then to hear like actual accounts of people reacting like that.
Honestly, that's what makes it all worth it, because you don't get into this for the money. I lose so much money on music. Like that's, if you're trying to start a business, it's like the worst idea.
Yeah, the worst business. Yeah. It's a
So
terrible
much
model.
fun. But yeah, like the thing that really keeps me going is when people are like, hey, I was really depressed for a couple months and I started listening to your songs and like it really kind of pulled me out of a thing. And I'm like, that's amazing. Because I remember all the times in my life that a band or a song or an album has done that for me, where I latched onto something and it was like, it gives you a reason to like work through whatever you're going through.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, if I can do that for other people, like that really warms my heart. I don't know, it fills me up so much.
Oh yeah, man, I bet. That's awesome. Roll up to a stoplight, you see someone just like crying and like belting out the Toyota Corolla.
Nothing that
That'd be the best.
cinematic yet, but yeah.
Nothing like that yet.
I'll keep an eye out.
That's awesome, man. Well,
That's really
on
cool.
that note, we can
Yeah, when does so you leave for tour
Too soon.
too soon? Is that what you said?
Yeah, like
Yeah, you got a lot of t-shirts here to print out.
you can see,
Yeah.
we got so much work to do. We're narrowing down our van repairs. I've got 2 repairs left. And
Oh,
then
there you go.
If nothing else breaks, it's safe.
You're set.
We'll see if something breaks. But yeah, we leave in like a week and a half. On the 23rd, I think we head to Houston for our first date, and then we're on tour till July 11th.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
awesome,
And
man.
I saw that you're opening for Mac DeMarco.
Yeah, that was surreal. He was why I started using chorus pedals. I saw him
Oh yeah.
like my freshman year at Mohawk, and Julio and I were talking to his lead guitarist at the time, and we were like, "Hey, like, how do you get that tone?" He's like, "Dude, it's just a chorus pedal." And we're like, "Oh yeah, sure." We went home and bought chorus pedal. And we're like, "Oh yeah, guitar sounds better. Cool."
Yeah.
That's rad.
Which is
I bet he's the reason a lot of people started using chorus pedals.
Oh yeah, dude. There was a period like my sophomore year, every band in West Campus was a slacker band.
Oh
It's like
yeah.
everybody had the matching hat and flannel and like t-shirts and like Mac DeMarco knockoff chords, and wasn't a bad thing. Like I enjoyed all those bands. Like their shows were a lot of fun, but it was just so funny to see a scene go from like a bunch of like college punk bands and then like a month or two later like everybody's slacker rock.
Right. It'd be weird to be Mac DeMarco and just know that like I'm the reason that everybody's rolled up their jeans. Me. Like this.
It's yeah. That must be a little intense.
I
So,
did
like,
this.
Know that you're trend setting that way. He's a super nice guy though. I've met him like after shows a couple times, and he's always super friendly.
He seems so nice. Anytime I listen to an interview with him, it's just like, oh, this guy's just. This is what I wanted. I didn't realize it, but yeah, he's so nice. I think you fall into that too, man. I'm glad
Thanks.
that you're a friendly guy. I
Yeah.
came in here and I'm enjoying
Word.
the digs here, and I really like talking to you, man.
Yeah. What's this garage look like?
The
Yeah, let's paint the picture.
Like a
Yeah.
pack rat serial killer.
We
lives.
still have one token mannequin.
One mannequin. There's a bowling pin that we can't get rid of. My wooden racket collection for when we want to go play drunk tennis.
oh yeah.
What is
no,
this?
is great. It's like a mop
this
handle
contraption
up, there,
up
just in
here?
case.
That's a remnant of like a. Dude, why do we have that? Why do we put that on the ceiling? That's for painting. It's a roller handle.
It looks like how like Dwight Schrute would like hide weapons just somewhere. You know, just he got
Oh
right
no.
there.
Okay, this is for a so there's a stop motion music video we shot for the new album that will come out. There's a deluxe album that will come out later this summer, probably whenever we get our act together. Like I thought I was gonna have stuff ready before tour, but here we are. And so I think we had like tied that to the ceiling so we could clamp lights and stuff onto it. Because we had
okay.
the stop motion set was like right where we're sitting. And we
Oh,
filmed.
cool.
That's what I did for my birthday this year. I just sat and like took pictures.
Moved something a 90 millionth of an inch and took
Uh-huh.
another picture. Yeah.
We were supposed to finish the day before my birthday, and stop motion never works that way.
Oh,
Everybody
gosh.
came over and they're like, let's celebrate. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. But also, like, I have to finish this. I do not want to do this tomorrow or any other day.
Yeah.
I've done this like 20 hours a day for 3 days now. And like, I'm
Yeah.
Wow.
running on fumes. Like, this has to stop. Thank you for the birthday wishes, but you totally don't have to stay. This is miserable. I
Right.
was like, you don't have to be here.
Dude, I can't even imagine. I talked to a dude who worked for he was like a claymation guy, and he did like actually he did that like that Radiohead claymation video.
Oh, yeah.
Like Burn the Witch or whatever it was called. And then he worked for some studio, and asked him like what's like a good day, like how much footage do you get in like one day of work, and I think he said seriously like 6 seconds, but like if that's like great or something like that. And I was like, what, 6 seconds? Like, because I think with something like that, I guess there's just so many things, like there's wind blowing, so you got to move this leaf a little bit, and then this thing, and then like move it. It's just,
And if you mess up,
oh gosh,
it's
yeah.
it's almost impossible to match. Like just think about taking this room, like the way it is right now, and taking a photo of it, taking all the clutter and the rug and the drum set and the shirts and everything, and just throwing them in the yard and mixing them around, and then trying to put them back in literally exactly the same spot. You will not be able to do it.
I think
You think it's possible, and you're like, oh yeah, sure, but you're like, usually I have a pretty low tolerance for if this chair is like a fraction of an inch this way or that way, but now like it looks bad. We have to redo it.
oh
So
gosh.
yeah, the
For this
second that
room-
you
Oh
Yeah,
man.
this one in particular, I literally don't think anybody could do it. I don't know, like if you took everything out of here and then put it in
No
the yard
one.
and brought it back, I don't know. It seems impossible to me, but you know.
no desire to try.
No one. That TV's cool.
That was from one of the film sets. We ended up with a bunch of random stuff because it's hard to get rid of things.
That's cool though, man. Like I feel like if you stumbled into this garage, you'd be like, somebody cool lives here, man. Like there's just like a bunch of instruments, a drum kit, like half assembled, but then there's also like, you know, just some other funky stuff around here.
A lot of rackets.
That whole pile of stuff is just beneath the keyboard stand. That's all stuff I'm just trying to sell on Craigslist or whatever. I'm trying to clean out the studio. I have a bunch of like old mics, and I was like, I gotta get rid of some stuff. I have too much stuff.
Yeah.
But then I bought this amp last week. It's really hard for me to. I work at Guitar Center, so it's constantly tempting to just keep
Yeah.
buying gear because you're like, oh, but this is gonna define the whole next record. Like I have to have this.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah,
I can
that's
see that.
bad.
And you're
man.
probably talking to a lot of people who like, especially in Austin, I bet, do a bunch of people that you work with are in bands and stuff too? Or
All my coworkers play in some kind of band or another, which is really interesting because I don't think any two of us have a similar sounding project like at all.
oh, really?
It's very like you got like metal, hardcore, punk, chill wave, us,
Yeah.
like very very different music, like singer songwriter stuff, like EDM, like very different styles.
That's cool though.
So it's funny, like sometimes if it's super slow, we'll all jam.
Oh, really?
And I'll be playing like dancey guitar licks, and my friend that's an amazing metal drummer will go over and like be playing like like double bass stuff under it, and it's like, yeah, nobody would put these together, but it's like it's kind of fun and different.
You guys are
Yeah.
gonna stumble across gold one day though.
I don't
Like,
know about that. Dude, nobody stumbles across gold in Guitar Center.
Never.
No, everything. You have a million people playing different songs. Nobody is like, wait, I understand now. This is like a great song.
Yeah. Do you have the dude? I'm.
Yeah,
curious.
we have the dude.
Yeah. Okay. I was gonna say yeah. There's a guy who's like, oh no, Jeremy's here again. Like,
Our customer demographic is not the best, but
hey, you know?
it's a job.
Yeah, man.
I like it. Just fun.
Dude, I have to give myself like a self-talk though before I go in there. You have to face that every day with just like seeing all these cool things. It sounds so tempting all the time. That is a sweet twin reverb though. I've never seen it with the red knobs.
Yeah, so that's a late 80s, early 90s model. They get trashed on a lot because they have the red knobs and they don't like look as cool. But they were designed for studio use, and they have a like that high low power switch. You can attenuate them, so you don't have to run it at like 100 watts or whatever, which is great because these are way too loud to use like normally.
Right.
And it's got push pull pots, so you have a lot more control with the EQ. You can cut or boost like certain bands.
Oh really?
You can run the channels separately or together. You can run line outs through it. Like you can put reverb on one or both channels. It's a studio beast. They were like designed for studio, but I think because they have so many features, they're not like an ideal like set it on one and play a show and it's gonna sound good. Kind
Right.
Of amp.
Right on.
Huh.
But yeah,
That's interesting, man.
I haven't used that on any recordings yet. I'm excited to play with it after tour.
That's
There you
right.
go.
Well, good luck with tour, man. And
Yeah, we hope we make it back.
dude, if you need any help on these shirts, you know how to contact me. We can
Yeah,
help.
for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we like to usually end it with like if there's because we have a playlist that we make
Mhm.
of the artist music, but also like maybe if there's a couple songs that have like influenced you particularly recently or that you've just been like hitting a lot lately. So if you have a couple songs,
Should I just list them off?
yeah,
We're
like,
gonna add
most
'em to
people
the
aren't this
playlist.
ready.
Okay, how many songs?
3. I don't know.
3 songs. Number 1 is probably got to be David Byrne. This Must Be the Place. That song is that was like a big influence for some stuff on the last album. It's like very tight, very minimal, repetitious. It's not showy. Like try to do some
Beautiful.
of that. Another one. Honestly, anything off Arthur Russell's World of Echo. That it's the album where he's doing all like a lot of delay and cello stuff.
Okay.
That's like a big influence. I can listen to that album all day. He's so good. His vocal melodies are amazing because he doesn't just do. I'm real bad about doing melodies that go up and down kind of thing. And he's got these jumps and skips that are unexpected and it's so beautiful. And he has amazing control both on cello and vocally. So anything off that album is really solid. Or maybe That's Us Wild Combination also is like one of my favorite Arthur Russell songs. That's a big influence. And
Okay.
then probably Good Times by Chic.
There you go.
What a banger.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
Always.
Because
Let's get the party started.
the chords aren't crazy, the bass line's awesome, but the song's not super complex. It's all about the rhythms. It's just there's a good amount of space in that song, and every note just feels like you want to move your foot or your arm or like dance some step to it. It's a great feeling song.
What an
yeah,
eclectic
Oh, yeah.
mix.
Yeah.
Great job, man.
Yeah, beautiful.
Can't wait to add those to the playlist. Plus, I don't
Awesome.
know the Arthur song, but This Must Be the Place is just a perfect song. That's so good, man.
Arthur, if
If
you haven't
there's a
listened to a
perfect
lot of
song.
Arthur Russell, he's like really worth diving deep into. Because he has stuff that's folksy from his earlier stuff. He has stuff that's like got a dance or a disco beat on it. He has
Sure.
stuff that's completely ambient. Like it's really amazing. I don't know.
Right on.
That's why we ask. Now we got stuff to listen to. Great. Well, thanks again for doing this, man. We really appreciate
Yeah,
it.
thanks for
inviting us.
Appreciate
chatting
it.
with me, picking my
Thanks.
my brain.
Awesome.